Hey Nikki, it is Sunday, April 28th, and this is my third update in this little project that we're doing. There's been a couple of different things going on this weekend. I've been trying to come up with things that are, the interesting or purient ones. One of them is that I'm trying to do a molding and casting project, which I haven't done in ages. I'll talk about it more later, but that's what this guy's for. He looks ugly right now. Hopefully he'll be awesome. The name change stuff, it's gonna be weird for me. There's been, it's a transition. It's been an ongoing process. For my name, I changed it in the Google, identity. And it's weird to see people's reactions as I write to them. I had a buddy of mine say, "Does this mean you're done with the surgery? If so, congratulations." Weird how trans kids constantly just get the, "How's the surgery coming along?" thing. But that's how people interact with folks. It's interesting to sort of try out a new name, and you just drop it at the Starbucks and be like, "That's my name. That's me. That's the new identity to go by." Doesn't quite fit, especially, right? Like, it's trying on new clothes sometimes. Even if you know the clothes fit, it can be weird. Things can move strangely. But it's cool to be navigating that space. It feels good. It feels right. In your video, you had talked about pornography, sort of the stigma attached to the notion of pornography, and the young woman who insisted that her pornography was better than pornography because she's not trashy. It's interesting that sex workers have to enjoy what they do and seek it out for their work to be seen as legitimate. That nobody else has to enjoy their job, but sex slavery is usually brought up when you mention pornography, but there's not a lot of people in pornography, especially mainstream pornography, that are there because of sex trafficking. You're there because it's a job, and it's something you can do, and you, for whatever reason, can overcome the social stigma and whatnot attached to it. The problem is that with the social stigma in place there, it makes it difficult for sex workers to get decent medical care, decent legal protections. You have the people in New York City getting arrested on suspicion of prostitution because they're holding condoms that were given to them by the city. Things like that. It's good to destigmatize the notion of sex workers, and part of that is being able to recognize that some people do pornography just because it's a job, just the same reason anyone does any job that they do. Means, motive, and opportunity combined, and that's something that they could tackle. The notion of legitimacy is a really, really interesting one. It's something that I've discussed a lot recently about the transition and the idea of transgender people, and whether it's sort of more nature or nurture, or whether it's just a reaction to society's gender binary constraints. And it's kind of an interestingly pedantic argument, really, because gender binaries exist in society and culture. It's a very easy way to break things down among organisms, the size of your reproductive cells. So it's hard to say how I would have gone about my life if I existed in a world that didn't have any kind of gender differentiation between people. I guess you probably kind of have to? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I mean, with a lot of this, it doesn't matter. I don't need anyone's legitimacy. I don't need to, conform to any predetermined checklist for whether or not I am trans. I'm very grateful in this respect, because there's a lot of kids who do still have to prove their legitimacy in order to just get medication and whatnot. And really, proving my legitimacy is part of the problems I've had getting surgery. So there is going to be a degree of legitimacy I still have to prove, and gatekeepers I have to convince that I'm not actually fucking around, that I'm a legitimate transgender individual. It's obnoxious that needs to be done, that you need to verify that you are who you are. But, society's still relatively new in their treatment of transgender people with any sort of decency and respect. Our society, I should say. There are plenty of societies that have been totally cool with gender variant and non-gender conforming individuals, but the civilization and society we exist in is sort of doesn't have a lot of stuff in place. We don't have good words. A lot of the decent words for transsexualism and transgender people are relatively new words. I think the word transgender is from the 70s. Like, it's kind of crazy how new we are in looking at this stuff. Some of that really makes me feel like I was born in the right time. There are plenty of environments throughout our history where this sort of expression, this sort of self-identity would have been received as threatening or problematic or downright heretical. Legitimacy. It's an interesting concept. Who legitimizes the legitimizers? All society, we just sort of have to agree that the people keeping track of those things are the people that we can get behind, and maybe they're not. It's really interesting to watch society say, oh, wait, maybe there's room for people who aren't male and, don't exist within the male sphere, or aren't female and don't exist within the female sphere. Another thing going on this week has been my development of this tattoo that I'm working on, my next tattoo. I constantly have a couple of tattoo projects kind of in the works at any given time, but this one is going to be a really cool sigil glyph thing. It's going on the bald patch on my head as soon as I get it done, but it represents Babylon, Babalon, not Baby. It's a Thelemic goddess figure, all-mother, consort of chaos and mother of abominations, that kind of thing, but it's this cool 7-pointed star, and Kelly's a little uncomfortable about it because it's sort of a religious symbol, and I don't practice Thelema, nor do I worship Babylon. Except there's elements that I think are interesting, and it's a cool glyph, but that's one of the things I'm working on. I'm working on a lot this weekend. This weekend has been very, very busy. We have a lot more time than we think we do. Our society is very instant gratification, and we're used to rushing and hustling and bustling and not liking stillness. But when you have to deal with 4 hours a day of commute, you get an appreciation for how time is allocated and how time is spent. This weekend, it feels like we've just been go busy, but it's just been efficient use of the time. Hopefully I will continue to efficiently use time. Makes me feel productive. But I appreciate you doing this project with me. A little strange to try to cut up these what I've done this week kind of blogs into something that I would consider interesting content, and it's probably not. But it's been enjoyable. I like it, and hopefully I'll keep it up. See you next week.